Now, this is an interesting question that I keep seeing popping up even on my Discord server. A lot of people were asking me what I think about it and why is this happening. In case you haven't noticed, a lot of AAA games are moving to the Unreal Engine. And as it's posted here, we got Halo, we got Metal Gear Solid. The remake is going to use Unreal rather than its in-house engine. Witcher 4 is another game. And I feel like people are upset because a lot of games are starting to look alike a little bit, you know. It's not necessarily just because of the engine, it's also a problem with the lack of creativity, a lack of out of the box thinking. Almost every single game now is an over the shoulder, third person type game like The Last of Us 2. You got a little bit of crafting, maybe a little bit of dialogue here and there, and some skills that don't really matter. At the end of the game, you unlock everything anyway. And so most of these games, they also have in common the fact that they're on the Unreal Engine, right? And I actually did ask some people that work at AAA studios, and I asked them like, why are you making the change? Why are you doing this shift? And the answer is that the new mindset of the gaming industry is to treat human beings like replaceable cogs in a machine. They really don't value their employees as much. It's all a business. It's not people that have a passion project and they want to create a game that's amazing. No, it's more like an industry that constantly pushes out games on an assembly line, and the factory workers have to be replaceable. And so, if you use a engine like Unreal, you kind of know that the people already are familiar with the engine, so they don't need any hand holding. Before this, companies, especially when I spoke with my guy from Blizzard, he told me that they were just a group of friends, and everyone that joined the company was treated kind of like a family member. And they went out drinking together. They would celebrate, party together. They would play Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons together. And they were invested in making an amazing game. They didn't just want to push out a product for the sake of pushing it and for the sake of making money. They genuinely like wanted to create something that's what they would play and what they would hope other people would play. And so that's why the original Blizzard would refuse to ship out the game if they didn't fit that it meets the quality. I mean, they even lost a lot of cash when they tried to create StarCraft Ghost. They lost a lot of cash with their Project Titan. Basically, they would just say, okay, we're canning this project. Like, this is not good enough for Blizzard. We're not shipping this out the way it is. And that was the mindset back then. And so they had their own in-house engine. Like, they would create their own engines and they would make the games based on it. But that meant that every time someone new joined the company, the first thing they would have to do would be to learn the engine. And it wasn't just the interface, it was also to learn to code in the new engine, to learn to adapt to the new thing. And so companies have moved away from that. They're no longer looking at that as circle of friends. In fact, that's not even desirable. Now it's like, trying to outsource. Like for instance, CD Projekt Red is outsourcing from California, and they're getting developers from other places, and they're doing this because this is what's industry standard now. And the Unreal Engine is something that everyone has access to, right? Like up until now, you wouldn't have access to Blizzard's own engine. But the Unreal Engine is something that everyone has access to, and if you master it, then you're good to go. Like, you can go to any studio and you can just be there and already know what to do. And so this is why everyone is using Unreal. In a way, I do think it's sad. I mean, these engines, in my opinion, should have been used by independent developers rather than AAA studios that respect themselves. Like, if you're a AAA studio that respects itself, then you should create your own engine because you have the money, the resources, and when you create the own engine for your game, it's customized for that game. Whereas when you use something that's default, it's like for the masses, it may not vibe with your game very well, which is why a lot of the games now are poorly optimized, and a lot of the games take so much space. Like, part of it, not all of it, but part of it is also due to the engine. It's not optimized for that game in particular. These engines, however, are a godsend for indies. Like, I generally don't know why more people don't start making video games. Like, I myself am doing it, and if I'm doing it, so can you. All you gotta do is to get in touch with the content creator, tell them about your project, and if they're interested, if they support you, you can start a Kickstarter, you can start a GoFundMe, and then you can use that money in order to, start making something small. Like, your first game shouldn't be something major, but like, even something in RPG Maker, as long as you have a good idea, a good story, you don't have to sell a million copies. Like, if you sell a couple of thousands, that's a success, right? As long as you're making your money back. And in order to do so, you can use some of these engines. Like, you can use Unity, you can use Unreal, you can use whatever. There's asset packs for them. I mean, that's what they were initially designed for. It's for the indie people to make games, because back in the day, it was almost impossible for an indie guy to make his game, because just making the engine would sometimes take 1 or 2 years, just building the engine. And after you build the engine, then you actually get to start to making the game. And yeah, it's very time consuming, cost intensive. But yeah, like, I'm surprised that AAA companies are now being lazy. I mean, it's not necessarily lazy. It's more like cutting costs, right? It's like, as I mentioned, it's using human beings as interchangeable cogs, which, the problem isn't that they're using the engine. The problem is that with this mindset, your work is not going to have a soul. Like the people that are there, they just know that they're kind of like hired mercs. They're there to do a job, and then they move to another studio, so they don't form connections. They don't make friendships. They don't put their passion into the project. Yeah, and, well, part of it is why the AAA industry is doing so poorly right now, compared to what it used to be before 2016. So yeah, all in all, the fact that they're using Unreal isn't a big issue. They can use whatever engine they want, but they have to change the mindset. You cannot create art this way. You cannot make art on the assembly line. You cannot treat people as replaceable cogs and expect that they're going to be creative. Because this is not an industry where you're manufacturing cars. If you're manufacturing cars, you can change the people that work there, you can change the engineers, like, that's fine. But when you're trying to create works of art, works of beauty, it requires a lot of creativity. And unfortunately, that cannot be done with just like getting mercs. With people that lack the passion and only view their job as a paycheck, with an HR lady looming on top of them, making sure that they don't say anything that's too edgy or politically incorrect, or else they get fired. So anyway, let me know what you guys think, and as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.